Alright, we're going to finish up the walk cycle now. We have half of it done. This is one side of the walk cycle. What we need to do is simply repeat this with the other side of the body. Reverse it, in other words. And the easiest way to do that is to copy what we have and reverse it. So I'm going to copy all frames of every layer. I'm going to press in frame 1 of layer 1, or the top layer here at the top. I'm going to press, drag down and to the right until I've selected every frame of every layer. Okay, then I'm going to control press, excuse me, let's see, get that, okay. Hold down the control key and then I will press, and what I want is copy frames, and you can't see that, it dips below the screen, but one of the options that you'll see as you look about a little further than halfway down says copy frames. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Alright, then I'm going to go out, that was frame 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to highlight frames 5, 6, 7, and 8, the next 4 frames, and go all the way down. They're empty right now, but I'm going to control press and do paste frames. And now what I've got is those 4 frames again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they're just repeated with 5, 6, 7, and 8. And if you do it kind of quick, it looks like he's walking, but the problem is he's really kind of hopping, because he goes from here back, and there's a hop where that front foot is forward again, that top foot's forward again. So we need to reverse everything from frame 5 through 8. We need to make the back leg doing this, and then the front leg doing this. So we have to reverse everything that we have. In fact, frame 1, right now frame 1 and frame 5 are duplicates of each other. Okay, so we need to sort of do a mirror image of what they are. So here we go. I'm going to start by doing the arms. I'm going to go to frame 5, and I'm going to get the top arm, and I'm going to rotate it forward, and I'm going to try to do the opposite of where it is. So I'm going to have it go forward about like that. Okay, and then I will select the back arm and I'll rotate it backwards. So I've tried to create the inverse of what I had before. And if I go from, if I look at frame 1 and then click on frame 5, they should be kind of the opposite of each other. And that does seem to work. Okay. Alright, still on frame 5. Let me deselect that ear. I want to rotate, let's see. Yeah. Okay. I'm doing a pass. I haven't done the legs yet, but the easiest thing to do is do what you call a pass. In other words, I'm going to deal with the arms on every frame and then go back and deal with the legs. So I'm going to then go on to frame 6 and deal with the arms again. So I will rotate this again forward, but then further, because this is going to be the furthest point of the arm rotation. So then I'll select the back arm and make it even further. And I can compare the arms between frame 5 and frame 6. And that's about what I want. Maybe this might be a little extreme. I'll bring that in just a little. And again, it all depends on the kind of, how exaggerated the action is. Okay. All right, now in frame 7, the arms are straight down, and straight up and down is straight up and down. So frame 7 and frame 3, the arms can be exactly alike. I could just nudge them a little bit just so they aren't exactly alike, and that'll maybe help with sort of an unconscious perception of of it being lifelike and not mechanical. But essentially, frame 3 and frame 7, the arms are roughly in the same position, straight up and down. Okay, frame 8. What I want to do is start to rotate those arms in the opposite. So I want the inverse of this. The arm is starting to go back, but I want it to be in the inverse position here. Okay, and I can't see the back arm, so I'll select it with the layers, and I'll just rotate it forward to where maybe I can just start to see it coming from behind the torso there. So, and I'll just see here, 5, 6, 7, 8. There, that does look like the arms are moving. Okay, so I cycled through and did the arms. All right. Now I'm going to start doing the legs, and this is a little more complicated. I could just do the hard work and just reposition the legs in every frame, but that's a lot of work. Instead, I'm actually going to copy and paste, but I'm going to copy and paste the leg, the top leg, on one frame, or I'm going to copy it from one frame and paste it on the opposite frame on the opposite leg. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to frame 1, and I'm going to select top shin, top thigh, top toes, top heel of frame 1. Okay, and then actually let me just do it this way. Hold down the command key, make sure, there we go. All right, I'm going to control press and do, and again you can't see it, but right below here it says copy frames. So I'm copying those frames from frame 1 of the top leg. Now the inverse frame is frame 5. What I want to do is go to the back leg of those, back shin, back thigh, back toes, back heel, and I want to paste these here. Control press, and again you can't see, but I'm going to go down to paste frames. And what it's going to look like is that there's only one leg, but what it is there are 2 legs, but they're exactly on top of each other. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to frame 1, and this time I'm going to select back shin, back thigh, back toes, back heel. So I got all that. I'm going to control press, again copy frames, and then I'm going to go back to frame 5, and I'm going to paste those on the opposite leg. So I'll select top shin, top thigh, top toes, top heel, control press, and paste frames. And now you can see that the legs have been reversed. All right. Now there's still adjustments that I have to do. There's some awkwardness here that we have to fix. But this is essentially what we need to do. And now to fix some awkwardness, here's what I got to do. Oops. I'm going to zoom in. The rear foot was smaller, and I copied and pasted it here on the top foot, and the top foot was bigger, and now that's in the back. So I need to adjust those 2 things on frame 5. So the first thing I might do is get the back, let's see, the back toes and the back heel of frame 5, and maybe just shrink them a little bit. I'll shrink them from this side just a tiny bit, and then the top toe and top heel, I'm going to enlarge those just a bit so that they look like they're the one on top. And I am going to have this, I'm going to move this down to where it touches the guideline there. Now there's some awkwardness here. I'm going to move this closer to the foot and back a little bit. And let's see, I might rotate this just a little. Like so. There we go, kind like that. Okay. There we go. Now, there is some awkwardness. This thigh cuts into the hip so much, it's just too far. Now, I don't want to edit it, because if I go into edit mode and change the symbol and do this, well, that looks fine there. But look what happens if I go to a different stage of the walk cycle. I will have edited that symbol in every frame. Well, yeah, okay. Actually, it seems to have worked out okay. Okay, I was going to suggest a swap duplicate. A swap duplicate would have given it a different name, but it seems as if I got away with it. I did edit it, and it hasn't affected that symbol on other frames, so I'm okay. All right. Now, another thing is that these are dark, so I'm going to select these, and I'm going to go to Color Effect, and the brightness is at -12. I'm going to bump that up to 0, and then I want to select the rear, or the back, then shin, thigh, toes, and heel, and I'm going to do it again. Shin, thigh, toes, and heel. Color effect. I'll do a brightness effect, and I'll turn this to -12. In other words, I got to reverse the brightness effect so that the back leg does seem darker than the top leg. Okay. All right, so I have now reversed the legs, and I have reversed the arms. And I have changed the brightness. Okay, so now frame 1 is a complete inverse, or frame 5 is a complete inverse of frame 1. I can check that. There's frame 1, and there's frame 5. The arms are reversed, and the legs are reversed, and that's what I want. Okay, now I'm going to repeat this process with frames 2 and 6 are inverse of each other, 3 and 7, and then 4 and 8. I just repeat this process. So here I go. I'm on frame 2, and I will select top, shin, thigh, toes, heel. Control press, copy frames. Okay, so it's between 2 and 6. So on frame 6, I select shin, the back shin, thigh, toes, and heel. Control press, paste frames. Oh, I'm sorry, I did that on frame 5. Oops. 6, shin, thigh, toes, heel. Control press, paste frames. Yeah, you'll know you're doing it right if the legs seem to be, if there seems to be one leg. Okay, now I'll go back to frame 2, and this time I will get the back shin, thigh, toes, and heel. Control press, copy, and then I'll go to frame 6, and I will select top shin, thigh, toes, heel. Control press, paste frames, and they have been inverted. And the brightness, since they're selected, I'll go ahead and turn this brightness up to 0. Okay, 1's close enough. Okay, then I can get these pieces, oops, and turn the brightness on them to -12. And also I can make that adjustment of the size. So I will select the foot pieces, back heel, and back toes. Make them just a little smaller. Oops. Like so. And then select these and make them just a little larger. Maybe from here. A tiny bit larger, like that. And then maybe move them in if I need to. Okay. So now I can check between frame 2 and 6, and it does seem to be inverted. Alright, now it's time to make frame 3 the opposite, or make frame 7 the opposite of frame 3. Okay, and they look pretty much alike, but we do have to swap out those legs still. Okay, so I'm going to go to frame 3. I'll select top shin, top thigh, top toes, top heel, control press, copy frames, and then I'll go to frame 7 and I'll select back, shin, thigh, toes, heel. I'll control press and I'll do paste frames. Okay, there we go, and it looks like it's standing straight. Okay, now I go back to frame 3. This time I will select back, shin, thigh, toes, heel. Control press, copy frames. Back to frame 7. This time I'll select top, shin, thigh, toes, heel. Control press, paste frames. Okay, and so now the legs are in the opposite position. I need to change the brightness. I'll deselect, I'll select them again. There we go, and now why can I not get the color effect? Okay. Sometimes it's stubborn about letting you see what you want to in the properties window. There we go, color effect. Brightness, turn that up to 0. Close enough, 1. Okay, now I'll get these back pieces. Back, shin, thigh, toes, heel. Again, it's not letting me do the brightness. Let's see, do this way. Okay. Very stubborn properties window, not showing me what I want to see. Hide that top arms in the way. Gonna hide the hips. Okay, there we go. Now I can get it. Now I have all the back stuff and I can see the color effect. I'll do brightness down to -12, or as close as I can get. There we go. Okay. Now I'll turn those back up. Okay. Once again, I'll shrink the back foot a little bit. Tiny bit. I'll enlarge the top foot just a little bit. Just for the sake of perspective. And there we go. There, I'll compare now frame 3 with frame 7, and yeah, they do. They are inverted. Okay, so now I got to invert 4 and 8. So here we go. Top shin, top thigh, top toes, top heel. Control press, copy frames. Go to frame 8. Back shin, back thigh, back toes, back heel. Control press. Paste. Okay. Alright, go back to frame 4. This time I select the back. Back shin, back thigh, back toes, back heel. Control Control press, copy frames, go to frame 8, top shin, thigh, toes, heel, Control press, paste frames, and now I have the inverse. Alright, I want to again select these, turn the brightness up to 0, select the back, brightness, turn it to -12. Okay, then there's a little bit of awkwardness in here. Still, I'll go ahead and make that a little bigger since it's the front foot. Make the back foot smaller just a little bit. Okay, might move stuff around a little bit there. Okay, now this is what's awkward. This is where that when I edited that symbol, it's come to haunt me. It hadn't shown anywhere except for, well, there on frame 4 and 8 it does show up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a swap duplicate. I'm going to select this, swap, duplicate. I'll just call it back thigh copy. That's actually a good name. I'm going to go with that. And then I'm going to edit this, and on the back thigh copy I'll extend that line back up. Okay. And then here on frame 4 it's still a little awkward, so I'll do swap on that back thigh, and I'll swap it with back thigh copy, and that looks better now. And I could do that as many times as I want. You'll see that there's a little break here. I could do a swap duplicate top shin. I could duplicate it and call it top shin copy if I want. Come inside and extend that up so there's not a break. And then that was frame 4, so frame 8. There it is again. I might do once again top top shin copy, and that gets rid of the break. Okay, so anytime you have something like that with a symbol, you have to edit it and it messes something up somewhere else, you can do a swap duplicate. Alright, now we're still not done, but we do have a walk cycle. We've got a complete walk cycle. Alright, but it's still it's a little jerky still, so we're going to make it smoother. And here's how we're going to do that. We have to smooth it. We're going to smooth it with motion tweens. And the principle is that the faster the body is moving, the fewer frames you need for the action. The slower the body is moving, the more frames you need for the action. Okay, so the idea is that the falling part of the walk cycle, because a walk is essentially a fall that you stop yourself from falling, is fast. So as the body falls, that part is fast. So frame 1 and 2 happen very fast. There's the contact and then the impact there, the recoil. So that happens very fast. So we don't need a recoil. We don't need frames in between those. Now, frame 3, there's the passing frame, and so we're going to want, and so there is some slowdown between frames 2 and frame 3. Alright, so I'm going to put a classic motion tween between frames 2 and 3. Alright, so I've highlighted all of the frame 2s, and I need a frame between 2 and 3. So I'm going to hit F5, and what that does is it inserts an extra frame in there. But I don't want it to just stay still. That would be awkward. There would be a stop in the motion. So I need a motion tween, but not a regular motion tween, a classic motion tween. So with these frames still selected, frame 2 still selected, I'll control press and do create classic tween. All right, it's very critical you do the classic tween. And then all these layers will turn blue, and then Flash automatically fills in the gap between 2 and 3. So there's 2 that I animated. There's 3 that I animated. Flash did the one in between there. Moved everything forward just a tiny bit. Okay, and that slowed it down. That slowed the action down. All right, I'm going to do this again between frames, what is now frame 4. It used to be frame 3. But I go to what is now frame 4, and I'm going to insert another frame after that with F5 key, F5. All right, I've inserted a frame. Once again, control press, create classic tween, and I've slowed down the motion there. Okay, I got a mistake I need to fix, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens, and this is why you need keyframes, because the automatic movement is not always correct. So what I can do is no big deal. I just go in here and get this. Let's see, top heel there. I'll have to insert a keyframe where there's a mistake. It's on the top heel at frame, what is now frame 5. So I'll put F6, and that turns it into a keyframe, and that will then allow me to make the change that I need. It'll allow me to move it. The reason it wouldn't allow me to is because it was part of a tween. So I had to untween it by making it a keyframe. But that's okay. All right, there we go. So I've slowed it down between there and there. All right, and then I'm back at the other end of the walk cycle. I don't need to slow down the frames between 7 and 8, because that's the contact and the recoil. But now I am going to want to start slowing it down, so I do it again. I'll highlight what is now frame 8, and then I'll hit F5 to insert a frame in between there. I will control press to create a classic tween, and then there I have an extra frame where Flash has done an in between there. Okay. Once again, between what is now frame 10 and frame 11, I'm going to insert a frame with F5. Once again, control press, create classic tween. And once again, the foot broke, but that's okay. This time it's with the back heel. So here on the back heel, I'm going to need to insert a keyframe, F6, and just move that heel back up where it needs to be. And kind of here too, the top heel, I think that needs that's a little bit broken too. So I'll hit F6, move that up. Okay, and if I don't like something on the tween, like I don't quite like that top shin, I can insert F6 there and move it down and tweak it. So there we go. So I've slowed it down, and I can go in, and there's stuff I don't like. I don't like that abruptness with the, I don't like that right there. So I'll select it. It's the back shin of, looks like frame 5. Yeah, that's not quite right. So I click on that, I hit F6 to make a keyframe, and I'll move this, I'll nudge it. Okay, and that looks better. And I just look for weirdness. I don't like that thigh there on frame 11 of the back shin, so I'll click on that, hit F6. I should have done on the top thighs where I needed to do that, so I'll hit F6 here, and I'll do a swap duplicate there. Swap back thigh copy. That's the one where I lengthened that line, and there, that looks better. Okay, so this Now looks good. I now have a pretty good walk cycle completed, and it's a lot smoother. And let's see, no, okay, don't want to do that. I just want to zoom out. There we go. Okay, so the walk cycle for Lucky Dog is now complete.